Did my first suit when I was 15. No, wait, 16. No, excuse me, 15. All right, when was 1990?
Okay, you have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.
You've watched every episode. You can quote entire scenes. You probably even tried to recreate Monica's apartment layout in your head. But here's the truth. Friends was playing a completely different game than you realized. We're not talking about the obvious laughs or the catchphrases everyone remembers. We're diving into the jokes that slipped past us when we were younger, the moments that seemed innocent until suddenly they weren't, and the references so cleverly hidden that even superfans are still discovering them today. Some of these will make you say, "I can't believe I missed that." Others will have you questioning how this show ever aired during family dinner time. And at least one of them probably taught you something you later used in real life, whether you're willing to admit it or not. Ready to see your favorite sitcom in a whole new light? Let's uncover the 10 hidden jokes from Friends that most fans completely missed. Number 10. Couldn't she have just copied my haircut? The meta joke that defined the 90s. Remember when Rachel's mom announced she was leaving her husband because Rachel inspired her to start fresh?
I'm, considering leaving your father.
Rachel's immediate response was priceless. Couldn't she have just copied my haircut?
Well, then, couldn't she have just copied my haircut?
If you watched this as a kid, you probably thought it was just Rachel being shallow. Typical Rachel, right? Making everything about her appearance? But here's what makes this joke absolutely brilliant. In the mid-1990s, something extraordinary happened. Women across the entire world weren't just asking their hairstylists for a new look. They were asking for the look. Jennifer Aniston's layered, honey-highlighted hairdo became a global phenomenon so massive that it earned its own name, the Rachel. Salons from New York to Tokyo had clients bringing in magazine cutouts of Aniston. The haircut became more famous than some celebrities. Fashion historians still discuss its cultural impact decades later. Aniston herself has admitted that the style only lasted about 7 months on her head, but had legs that stretched 15 years. So when Rachel suggests her mom could have just copied her haircut instead of upending her entire marriage, the writers weren't just writing a throwaway line. They were making the show wink at its own cultural phenomenon. They were acknowledging that yes, this hairstyle had become so influential that it genuinely was changing people's lives, just maybe not in ways that required divorce attorneys. The joke works on multiple levels. It's funny in the moment. It reveals Rachel's character, but it's also the show poking fun at itself and the massive, somewhat ridiculous impact it was having on popular culture. How many times did you watch this scene before you realized Friends was literally joking about being friends? Number 9. Ross's Norma Ray moment, when labor rights meet sitcom lies. Rachel's first day back from maternity leave starts with her boss making an awkward joke about vacation. Her response, "My idea of a vacation does not involve something sucking on my nipples until they are raw."
My idea of a vacation does not involve something sucking on my nipples until they are raw.
His comeback about Sandel's Paradise Island probably went over most of our heads as children.
Clearly, you've never been to Sandel's Paradise Island.
And honestly, we were better off not understanding that one yet. But the real hidden gem comes later in the episode when Rachel lies to Ross, claiming her maternity leave ended early and she had to return to work or be fired.
My maternity leave just ended. They told me that if I didn't come back today, they were going to fire me.
Ross immediately transforms into a righteous warrior. "That's illegal! I'm going to have the Labor Department down here so fast!"
What? No, that's illegal. I'm gonna have the Labor Department down here so fast.
Rachel cuts him off. "All right, calm down, Norma Ray."
All right, calm down, Norma Ray.
Now, if you were a kid watching this in the 90s or early 2000s, you probably assumed Norma Ray was some co-worker at Ralph Lauren. Maybe someone in accounting who complained a lot. The name just sort of floated past without landing. But Norma Ray is actually a reference to the 1979 film starring Sally Field, who plays a textile worker fighting for labor rights in her North Carolina factory. The movie shows her journey from struggling single mother to union activist, culminating in one of cinema's most iconic scenes. Field standing on a table, holding a sign that simply reads Union, while the factory machinery slowly grinds to a halt around her. It's a powerful film about worker exploitation, collective action, and standing up to corporate power. Sally Field won an Academy Award for the role. So when Rachel mockingly calls Ross Norma Ray, she's not just telling him to relax. She's comparing his instant transformation into a labor rights activist to one of cinema's most famous union organizers. The joke being that Ross is ready to launch a full-scale labor movement over a situation Rachel completely made up. It's the kind of reference that sails right over younger viewers, but lands perfectly for anyone who caught the film in theaters or on cable. And it shows how Friends consistently layered its humor, creating jokes that worked whether or not you got every reference. Did Ross's sudden passion for workers' rights make more sense once you knew who Norma Ray actually was? Number 8. The Last Muffin, Monica's line. That means exactly what you think it means. Picture this. Central Perk, morning, and there's only one banana nut muffin left. Monica and Chandler both want it. They argue about who orders faster.
Oh, well, order mine first.
Yeah, but I'm so much faster.
Give it to me.
And then Monica does something that settles the dispute immediately. She licks it. Problem solved. The muffin is hers. Chandler is disgusted, but defeated. Later that day, Phoebe bursts in with exciting news about Ryan, the Navy guy she's been seeing. But Chandler's mouth is full, so he can't respond immediately. Phoebe says, "Wait, tell us before you can swallow." And that's when Monica delivers the comeback. "That'll teach you to lick my muffin."
That'll teach you to lick my muffin.
As kids, we probably thought this was just about the actual muffin from earlier. Petty revenge for Chandler trying to steal her breakfast. Classic Monica being territorial about food, right? But watching it, as adults, oh, the double entendre is so perfectly constructed that it functions on both levels simultaneously. Yes, she's literally referring to the muffin he tried to claim that morning. But she's also making a joke so suggestive that it's almost impressive it made it past network censors. This is Friends in a nutshell, a show that could air during family viewing hours. Because technically, yes, they were just talking about baked goods, but also delivering content that would make adults do a spit take with their coffee. The genius is in the plausible deniability. Everything Monica says is factually true and innocent. The muffin was literally licked. Chandler is literally eating it now. She's literally teaching him a lesson. But we all know what else she's saying. How many times did you hear this line before you finally caught the second meaning? Number 7. The dry cleaner who hated Air Force One, the ultimate inside joke. In Season 6, Joey proudly marches into his local dry cleaner to reclaim his spot on the celebrity wall. He's landed a role on Mac and CHEESE, which he's convinced will make him famous again. There's just one problem. The dry cleaner refuses. Why? Because Joey's new show insults Russians.
Dry cleaners?
Russians.
Joey, defensive and scrambling, points to Harrison Ford's photo on the wall and argues, "What about Air Force One? That movie's anti-Russian too."
Okay, well, that may be true. But in Air Force One, okay, the Russians were terrorists.
The dry cleaner's response? "I've never seen it." Joey, still trying to salvage this, "Oh, you should. It's great." The dry cleaner repeats firmly, "I've never seen it."
I've never seen it.
Oh, you should. It's great.
On the surface, this seems like a random exchange. The dry cleaner has a weird double standard about which anti-Russian content offends him. Kind of funny, but nothing extraordinary, until you dig deeper. The actor playing the dry cleaner is Ilya Volok, and if you check his IMDb page, you'll find something fascinating. Ilya Volok appeared in Air Force One. He played one of the Russian terrorists. Let that sink in. The dry cleaner insists he's never seen Air Force One, while being played by an actor who was literally in Air Force One. The character is unknowingly rejecting a movie that the actor actually appeared in. This is comedy writing at its most layered. It's a joke that works fine without the context, Guy has inconsistent standards, classic sitcom beat. But if you happen to know cinema, recognize the actor, or just obsessively check IMDb credits, you get rewarded with an entirely different level of humor. The dry cleaner is essentially roasting himself without knowing it, and viewers who catch the reference get to feel like they're in on something special. This is the kind of hidden joke that separates casual viewers from absolute superfans. It requires outside knowledge, attention to detail, and probably a lot of time on the internet. How many times did you watch this scene before you realized the dry cleaner was calling himself a liar? Number 6. Sticky Pages, the cookbook. Accident that wasn't about cooking. Rachel's trifle is legendary. Half English dessert, half shepherd's pie. Completely inedible.
Half an English trifle and half a shepherd's pie.
We all remember Ross trying to force it down while Joey somehow enjoys it. But there's a dirtier punchline hiding in plain sight. When Joey and Ross figure out how the recipe got so catastrophically mixed up, Joey makes a discovery. Oh my God, the pages are stuck together.
Oh my God. The pages are stuck together.
Chandler's response, just his name, said knowingly, Chandler. As kids, we probably thought the pages were stuck together with jam or cream or some cooking ingredient. Made sense, right? Cookbooks get messy in kitchens. Pages stick together. Rachel grabbed the wrong recipe because she couldn't flip the page properly. But as adults, we realized the pages weren't stuck together because of anything related to cooking. Let's just say Chandler had been using Monica's cookbook for some decidedly non-culinary activities. The kind of activities that might explain why certain pages in certain magazines end up permanently adhered to each other. This joke is brilliantly constructed for maximum plausible deniability. NBC censors could approve it because technically, yes, cookbook pages could stick together from kitchen use. Parents watching with kids could laugh at the cooking mishap while missing the subtext entirely. But adults watching alone or with other adults? We know exactly what Chandler was doing. And suddenly, the cookbook being in his possession, in his room, with mysteriously stuck-together pages makes perfect sense in a way that has nothing to do with custard. It's the kind of joke that makes you do a double-take years later when you're rewatching. You pause, you rewind, you wonder, wait, did they really just… Yes, they did. The genius is how they disguised it. The joke never gets explicit. Nobody explains it. It's just Joey's realization, Chandler's name, and the audience's dawning comprehension. How old were you when you finally understood why those cookbook pages were really stuck together? Number 5. If I were omnipotent for a day, Joey's hilarious misunderstanding. Imagine having unlimited power for just one day. What would you do? Phoebe has her answer ready. World peace, no more hunger, help for the rainforests, and bigger boobs.
World peace, no more hunger, good things for the rainforest, and bigger boobs.
A perfectly Phoebe combination of altruism and vanity. Chandler, being Chandler, finds the loophole. If I were omnipotent for a day, I'd make myself omnipotent forever.
If I were omnipotent for a day, I'd make myself omnipotent forever.
Smart, strategic, very on brand. And then Joey responds in a way that completely derails the conversation. If little Joey's dead, then I got no reason to live.
Hey, if little Joey's dead, then I got no reason to live.
The laugh track explodes. The other friends stare at him in confusion. When we first watched this as kids, Joey's reaction seemed hilariously dramatic but kind of random. Why was he so upset about this hypothetical? What did being powerful for a day have to do with death? Then we grew up and realized Joey didn't hear omnipotent. He heard impotent. Suddenly everything makes sense. Joey's entire identity revolves around his romantic conquests, his confidence with women, his active love life. The idea of being impotent, even hypothetically, even for just one day, is devastating enough that he immediately jumps to having no reason to live. It's not an overreaction to the actual question. It's a perfectly in-character response to what he thought was being discussed. The joke works because omnipotent and impotent sound similar enough that the confusion is believable, but different enough that the misunderstanding creates comedy gold. and it's so perfectly Joey. Of course, he wasn't paying attention to the exact word. Of course, he heard it wrong. And of course, his mind went immediately to his sexual abilities. The payoff comes when Ross tries to explain. Joey, omnipotent. Joey's confused response. You are? He still doesn't get it.
Joey, omnipotent.
You are?
Even when corrected, he thinks Ross is calling him impotent. The misunderstanding compounds on itself, creating layers of confusion that make the scene even funnier. This is the kind of wordplay that absolutely requires adult understanding. Kids might laugh at Joey being dramatic, but they won't get why. Adults immediately understand both the word confusion and why Joey would react so strongly. It's also a perfect example of character-based humor. This joke only works because it's Joey. Put the same misunderstanding in Ross's mouth and it falls flat. But Joey's established character makes it land perfectly. How many times did you watch this scene before you realized what word Joey actually heard? Ross and Rachel's messy moment. Ross has a museum emergency, naturally involving ancient human ancestors. The conversation alone is comedy gold. Homo habilis was erect. Australopithecus was never fully erect.
No, Homo habilis was erect. Australopithecus was never fully erect.
Chandler can't resist. Well, maybe he was nervous. If you caught that joke as a kid, congratulations on your advanced sense of humor. If not, well, we'll wait while you figure it out. Later that night, Ross and Rachel finally get some romantic alone time. Things are progressing nicely. The mood is building. And then suddenly, there's a sound. Rachel sighs. Ross, concerned. What? Rachel, oh no, you just rolled over the juice box.
Oh no, you just rolled over the juice box.
When we were kids, this seemed straightforward. Ross made a mess. He rolled over Emma's juice box and squished it. Clumsy Ross moment. Rachel's relieved it's just juice and not something worse. But watching as adults, that "oh thank God" from Rachel hits completely differently. The setup is perfect. We hear a sound during an intimate moment. Rachel makes a noise. Ross is worried. And then the juice box explanation comes out. The joke is that Rachel, and initially the audience, thought something embarrassing had happened to Ross during their romantic encounter. The relief in her voice when she realizes it's just an actual juice box is palpable and hilarious once you understand what she thought had happened. The writers even set it up earlier with the "maybe he was nervous" joke about erectness. The whole episode is layered with adult humor, disguised as science talk and parenting mishaps. This is Friends operating at peak cleverness. They took a completely innocent object, a child's juice box, and turned it into an innuendo-laden moment that works on multiple levels. Kids see a clumsy accident. Adults see a masterclass in suggestive comedy. The beauty is in the misdirection. The show lets you think one thing is happening, then reveals it was something innocent, but in a way that actually makes the adult joke even funnier because of what wasn't said. Did you think Ross had just made a mess, or did you catch what Rachel was really worried about? Number 3. Joey's Marcel Marceau impression, the silent exit that was actually perfect. Chandler makes a critical error. He openly mocks the friendship bracelet Joey gave him, and Joey unfortunately walks in at exactly the wrong moment. You have any idea what this will do for your sex life? It'll probably slow it down at first, but once I get used to the extra weight, I'll be back on track. Joey is hurt. Chandler is busted. The bracelet drama reaches peak awkwardness. Trying to smooth things over, Chandler desperately suggests they were just doing impressions. He encourages Joey to join in. Do your Marcel Marceau.
Do your Marcel Marceau.
Joey, without saying a word, turns and walks out of the apartment in complete silence. Cue laugh track. Here's the thing. Most of us as kids had absolutely no idea who Marcel Marceau was. The name meant nothing. So Joey's silent exit just looked like him being upset and leaving without responding. Typical Joey sulking moment. But Marcel Marceau was actually one of the most famous mimes in history. A French performer who spent his entire career telling stories without words. His white face paint, striped shirt, and silent performances made him an international icon. He proved you could communicate everything: joy, sadness, love, fear, without speaking a single word. So when Joey wordlessly turns and exits, He's not just storming off. He's giving a pitch-perfect Marcel Marceau impression. The silence isn't anger, it's performance art. Chandler even acknowledges it. That's actually good, because it genuinely is. Joey managed to express hurt, dignity, and artistic excellence simultaneously without uttering a sound. It's arguably one of his best impressions in the entire series, executed at a moment when most people would expect him to yell or argue. The joke has multiple layers. First, it's funny because Chandler was clearly just trying to change the subject, and Joey called his bluff. Second, it's funny because Joey's impression doubles as his actual response to being hurt. And third, it's actually a legitimate impression that viewers who know about Marcel Marceau can fully appreciate. This is the kind of reference that completely changes the scene once you understand it. What looked like a dramatic exit becomes a perfectly crafted comedy beat. Joey isn't just leaving, he's performing. How many times did you watch Joey walk out before you realized he was actually nailing the impression Chandler requested? Number 2. Rachel's Killer Coffee, the plant that paid the ultimate price. Remember the Friends pilot? Rachel in her wedding dress, soaking wet, declaring she's done being a shoe? We all remember the big moments. But did you catch what happened to the plant? In Rachel's first attempts at functioning like an adult, Monica suggests she could make breakfast. Rachel's enthusiasm is immediate. While you're on a roll, if you feel like making a Western omelet or something, she pauses. Although actually, I'm really not that hungry this morning. Instead of drinking the coffee Rachel made, the group quietly pours it into the nearby plant. A few scenes later, that same plant looks completely dead, shriveled, brown, deceased. It's a visual gag that's easy to miss on first viewing, but once you spot it, the joke becomes hilarious. Rachel's coffee wasn't just bad. It was literally toxic enough to kill vegetation. This early joke set the tone for Rachel's entire character arc. She wasn't just spoiled or sheltered. She had zero practical life skills. The woman couldn't make coffee without creating a biological weapon. But the dead plant also serves another purpose in the pilot. It's part of a pattern of adult humor that most of us completely missed as kids. Just moments before the coffee plant murder, Joey delivers his ice cream metaphor. You could get them with jimmies or nuts, but whipped cream. As children, we thought he was genuinely discussing ice cream toppings. As adults, we realize he absolutely was not. Then there's Phoebe's confusion about Paul the wine guy. What does that mean? Does he sell it, drink it, or just complain a lot? Innocent question from Phoebe, but the actual answer, he works in wine, is less interesting than what the question reveals about Paul's character and Monica's dating history. The pilot was packed with these moments. Jokes that worked as harmless banter for younger viewers, but carried completely different meanings for adults. The coffee plant death was just the visual representation of this dual-layer comedy approach. It's also a perfect character introduction. Within the first episode, we learn Rachel can't make coffee, has never had a job, and possesses no domestic skills whatsoever. The dead plant is proof, and it sets up her entire arc, from spoiled runaway bride to independent career woman. Did you notice the plant's tragic fate, or were you too distracted by Rachel's wedding dress? Number 1. 7. Monica's unforgettable and educational demonstration. For years, possibly decades for some fans, this scene was just funny. Monica energetically yelling numbers at Chandler, who looks increasingly confused and possibly terrified. We laughed because of her intensity, her passion, her commitment to whatever she was teaching, but we had no idea what she was actually teaching. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The emphasis on 7, the hand gestures, the way she counts and recounts with increasing enthusiasm. 7, 7, 7.
7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
As kids, this looked like some kind of organizational system. Maybe a cleaning technique? Monica was always particular about order and systems, right? This was probably some Monica-level intense way of organizing something, and then we grew up. And suddenly we understood exactly what Monica was teaching Chandler. This wasn't a math lesson. It wasn't about organization. Monica was giving Chandler a comprehensive tutorial on female pleasure, complete with a numbered sequence of zones and techniques. The 7 zones she's passionately describing are, well, let's just say they're anatomical. The hand gestures we thought were random, highly specific demonstrations. The counting we thought was excessive, actually a carefully structured educational sequence. The intensity we thought was comedy, genuine enthusiasm for the subject matter. A little 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, a 3, a 5. Every number corresponds to a specific area or technique. The repetition isn't for comedic effect, it's emphasizing importance. When she circles back to 7 with that much passion, she's highlighting what she considers the most crucial element. Watching this scene as an adult is a completely different experience. What once seemed like over-the-top Monica energy now reveals itself as surprisingly practical advice. The show managed to create what is essentially an educational segment about intimacy, disguised it as a comedy bit, and aired it on network television during prime time. The genius is in the coding. Monica never says anything explicit. She just counts, enthusiastically, with hand gestures. Technically, she's just really into numbers, but we all know she's not talking about math. And here's the kicker. For many fans, this scene actually proved educational. Monica's tutorial became genuinely useful information later in life. A sitcom character accidentally, or perhaps intentionally, helped people become better intimate partners by disguising a lesson as a laugh. It's the perfect encapsulation of what Friends did best, creating content that worked for all audiences but rewarded viewers with life experience. Kids could laugh at the funny lady yelling numbers. Adults could appreciate the clever innuendo. And some viewers might have even taken notes. The scene has become iconic not just because it's funny, but because it represents Friends at its most cleverly subversive. They took something that absolutely should not have been allowed on network television in the 90s, coded it just enough to pass censors, and created one of the show's most memorable moments. How old were you when you finally understood what Monica was actually counting? The beauty of growing up with Friends. Here's what makes Friends truly special. It grew with us. When we first watched, we laughed at the obvious jokes, the physical comedy, Ross saying pivot 17 times, Joey's "How you doing?"
Hey, how you doing?
Chandler's sarcasm. These worked at any age, but the show also planted jokes we weren't ready for, moments that seemed simple but carried hidden meanings, references to movies, cultural moments, and adult situations that would only make sense later. So as we aged and rewatched, Friends revealed new layers. Suddenly, Chandler's sticky cookbook pages made perfect sense. Joey's omnipotent confusion became hilarious instead of confusing. Monica's 7 tutorial transformed from weird to informative. The show essentially created a time-release comedy system. Jokes that would hit immediately, jokes that would hit in a few years, and jokes that would hit when you were old enough to need Monica's advice yourself. This is why Friends remains rewatchable decades later. Every viewing at a different age offers different humor. The college student catches jokes they missed in high school. The parent understands Rachel's juice box relief in ways they couldn't before having kids. The experienced adult finally gets why that plant died. Friends respected its audience enough to include humor for everyone, including the audience members those viewers would eventually become. The writers knew kids were watching. They also knew those kids would grow up and keep watching. So they crafted a show that would age with its audience, revealing new jokes and layers with each passing year and each new life experience. It's sophisticated storytelling disguised as a simple sitcom, multi-generational humor hidden inside a show about 6 people in Manhattan, educational content buried beneath coffee shop conversations. And it worked. 20 years after the finale, we're still discovering new jokes, still catching references we missed, still laughing at moments we've seen dozens of times because we finally understand what they actually meant. Which joke finally clicked for you? Every Friends fan has that moment, that rewatch where suddenly a joke lands differently, where a throwaway line becomes a punchline, where you pause, rewind, and think, oh my god, they really said that. Maybe it was Rachel's haircut meta joke that made you appreciate the show's self-awareness. Perhaps the Norma Ray reference finally made sense after watching the movie.
Went down here so fast, they
All
wouldn't...
right, calm down, Norma Ray. They didn't actually say that.
Or maybe, like many of us, Monica's 7 tutorial was a revelation that changed your entire perception of the scene. These hidden jokes are what keep Friends alive. They're the reason we keep rewatching, keep discussing, keep discovering new details. The show isn't just nostalgic comfort viewing. It's a puzzle with layers we're still uncovering. Some jokes took us years to understand. Others required specific life experiences. And a few needed the internet and IMDb to fully appreciate. But that's the magic. Friends gave us something different at every age. It met us where we were and trusted we'd eventually understand where it was going. So think back through your friends watching history. Which joke finally clicked for you? Was it the obvious ones like Monica's 7? The subtle ones like the dead coffee plant? Or the deeply hidden ones like the Air Force One actor roasting himself? Drop your revelation in the comments. Share the moment when you finally got the joke you'd been missing for years. Compare notes with other fans who had the same experience at completely different times. Because that's what Friends created, a shared experience that's actually different for everyone. A show that reveals itself slowly, rewarding patience, attention, and aging. We grew up with these characters, and in a very real way, the jokes grew up with us too. The only question left is, what will you discover on your next rewatch?